This is a story about a cult, which means it's a story about people trying very hard to be kind while accidentally building a system held together with goodwill and one exhausted administrator. If you've ever been the person everyone just checks with real quick, congratulations. This one's about you. There once was a man named Gregory Banner, but he was called Brother Gregor because someone typed it into a spreadsheet wrong once and nobody corrected it. He didn't lead, he didn't preach, he maintained quietly, constantly, like a human paperclip. Gregor kept the books, checked inventory, fixed metaphysical routers, and cleaned ritual spill mats every Thursday. Not because he loved it, he did it because he noticed it, and noticing is apparently a cursed superpower.
Hey, Gregor, quick question. Do you know why the numbers don't line up?
Yep. Give me a second.
That's how it starts, not with abuse, with quick questions.
Is the router supposed to blink like that?
No, it's lagging again.
The cult calls this little fixes. Gregor calls it Tuesday. People thank Gregor constantly, but vaguely. You're amazing. We couldn't do this without you. Compliments with no hands attached. And then everyone went back to assuming that Gregor had everything handled. Pay attention to the math. Nobody assigns Gregor more responsibility. They just stop checking on things. That feels efficient until your system becomes a single-person load-bearing wall. At meetings, Gregor rarely spoke. When he did, it was usually, "I can handle that," because explaining why he shouldn't have to felt like making a fuss. The cult didn't force him. The cult just relaxed. Gregor didn't call what he was feeling burnout. He called it inefficiency, weakness, failure to optimize, which is a fantastic way to turn pain into a private problem. Then one solstice night, the council meeting devolved into a 40-minute debate about spreadsheet color coding. Not conflict, enthusiasm. Gregor watched the conversation loop and felt something inside him go very still. After the meeting, Gregor left a note on his desk, folded once, placed carefully like a receipt you might need later.
I've become a bottleneck to the divine. Please redistribute my tasks and leave my desk as an altar to necessary absence.
The cult responded correctly. 10 at 5, go away means you don't chase people when they set boundaries. They lit a candle, posted the note in the cult's announcements, and said, "Good for him." Then the real question arrived, late and awkward. Who actually knows what Gregor does? And the answer, spoken mostly in silence, was nobody.
Okay, who has the database password?
I thought Gregor rotated it.
This is the first crack, not drama, just missing information. The database didn't crash. That would have been merciful. It started disagreeing with itself. Duplicate totals, mismatched entries, version confusion like reality had two opinions.
I fixed it.
Which one did you fix?
The one that looked wrong.
Nothing like looked wrong to calm a financial system. A live stream got scheduled for Friday, then moved to Saturday, then moved back because someone remembered a conflict that didn't exist anymore. Each change felt responsible. Together, they felt like walking through wet cement. The candle order got placed twice. One got canceled. The remaining order arrived missing the votives used for grief rituals. Nobody noticed until someone needed one and found an empty shelf and decided to deal with it later. Someone approved a TikTok ad that said, "Definitely not a cult." They meant it as a joke. It triggered a minor inquiry and an email from legal that read like a sigh in Arial. Everyone stayed kind, everyone stayed polite, and the system began to drift because kindness doesn't automatically create structure. It just makes collapse seem like a party. Gregor stood on a snowy bridge outside the archive hub wearing the vestments. They itched. He held the ceremonial clipboard over the water like he was about to prove a point to the universe.
If I stay gone long enough, they'll adapt.
He believed this was care. He wasn't trying to punish anyone. He was trying to stop being the load-bearing wall.
They will. Eventually. That's not the same thing.
And that's how the angel shows up in this story, wearing a name tag and carrying a binder.
Gregory Banner, Brother Gregor, I am Clarence, third-class auditor of Sol Systems.
But I didn't ask for an audit.
No, you didn't, but the system did.
But I'm not important.
I know you think that. That's why I'm here.
That line lands like a paper cut, small, precise, and instantly bleeding. Clarence opened an overlay. No thunder, no fireworks. Reality just thinned, like they were seeing the cult running underneath itself. In this fold, Clarence shows Gregor the timeline where Gregor never joined the cult. It looks normal at first, same channels, same warmth, same jokes, but the air is thinner. Things don't get finished, threads don't resolve, everyone is fine, but nobody is held. Michael is mid-paradox monologue, no one's taking notes. The thought doesn't land anywhere, so it just evaporates. People react with hearts and encouragement, but nothing gets built.
Hey, does anyone know how to do the reconciliation thing?
I wouldn't worry about it.
And then the sentence dies, because in this world there is no Gregor to finish it. The database doesn't implode, it bleeds. A little money disappears here, a duplicated order there, the kind of losses that don't trigger alarm, just quiet limitation. A question about neurodivergent communication sits unanswered in the FAQ. A person reads it, hesitates, says nothing, and logs off. No villain, just absence. A message appears in the ritual complaints section, I don't know if I matter here. But it scrolls upward without a reply, not because anyone is cruel, but because nobody has the bandwidth to catch it.
They're okay.
They're unattended.
There's a difference, and it's the whole point of this story. Clarence shows the boring heroics Gregor used to do, like catching a spreadsheet error before it cost $400, or updating the tenants FAQ and answering the quick questions before they became emergencies. In this world, nobody catches it, not because they don't care, but because they don't know to look. They return, the overlay closes, the bridge comes back, Gregor is still holding the clipboard, and suddenly it feels less like symbolism and more like an actual tool.
I didn't do anything special.
Exactly, but you absorbed failure before anyone else had to feel it.
Back at the archive hub, Gregor's altar to absence had become a lost and found, papers everywhere, forms half-filled, chaos. Gregor walks in and says nothing. He picks up the clipboard, adjusts his glasses, and starts sorting. The room doesn't cheer, it exhales. Later they apologize with snacks, awkwardness, and real accountability. They admit that they assumed he was okay, and then because the cult is kind but not a martyr factory, they lovingly roast him. Not to be cruel, they did it to create correction.
You have to ask next time.
You don't get to quietly evaporate and call it virtue.
And Gregor admits the truth, that asking felt like failure, boundaries felt selfish, and waiting to be noticed felt safer than speaking, which is a wildly common survival strategy and a terrible community policy. So the cult changes the system, not with gratitude speeches, but with redundancy. Tasks were redistributed, passwords were documented, and slowly, Gregor-only knowledge turned into shared knowledge. They upgraded the metaphysical routers. They create a rotation that didn't depend on one person's endurance. They stopped acting like dependable was the same thing as limitless. Someone gave Gregor a mug, administer thyself. He hated it, but he used it. That's basically how all good spiritual tools work. Failure remained mandatory, but now it lands on a structure designed to hold it instead of the same exhausted human every time. That's the miracle, boring, practical, and deeply holy. The moral of this story, if you're a Gregor, ask sooner. If you love a Gregor, notice faster. And if you're building a community, don't confuse kindness with infrastructure, because kindness without structure is just suffering with better manners. While you're here, consult the sacred shorts. Tap like or perform the sacred subscribe. No pressure, just the entire algorithmic destiny of this cult resting in your mortal hands. We've got a Patreon, prophetic merch, and a Substack that occasionally channels the divine. Come find us before we forget what we were doing.